All right, let's take you back to our top story now. The Meyiwa murder trial has been adjourned until Monday. The state has concluded re-examination of witness Silindelo Masikane. Masikane was in the house on the night the soccer star was killed during an alleged robbery. He has denied protecting anyone and labels the allegations against him and those in the house at the time of the murder as outright lies. Let's go to our reporter Silindelo Masikane, who's been following this case throughout the course of the trial. Sli, tell us about the short court appearance today. I understand that an early adjournment was already discussed since yesterday.
Yeah, because what we saw really was the state re-examining Silindelo Masikane in terms of some of the questions that were posed to him during cross-examination. So really what the state was doing was trying to get some points of clarity around statements that were made during his cross-examination. One of those points of clarity was, of course, around the issue of the evidence of the cans which were found at the crime scene. You'd remember that a photo was used during cross-examination indicating that police only found 2 cans of alcohol, and during that cross-examination, Masikane then admitting that there's absolutely no way that those who were in the house only consumed 2 cans of alcohol, because he himself had consumed, he said, at least 3 or 4 cans of beer. So what we saw the state doing during re-examination, from what it looked like to me, was trying to perhaps show the court that maybe at some point the cans which were being drunk at the crime scene were thrown in the dustbin, because, you know, they would drink them and then throw them away. But it seems Masikane just did not want to, delve much deeper into the questions around the cans of alcohol, because during cross-examination it was put to him that he and the others who were in the house were actually drunk, and during re-examination he was saying, I really cannot tell the court exactly what happened to the empty cans of alcohol. Let's take a listen.
As you were drinking, what happened to the cans, to the empty cans?
Ngesikhathi niphuza ke lamakani besiniwaphuzile lawa empty kwenzekeni ngawo ngokuthi ke uadvocate umsholo ukhuluma ukuthi ke amanye amakani wayeseyisusiwe ngesikhathi amaphoyisa sekafika lapho ukuthi kule ithombe nawo njengoba uzibonela enkantolo kuvela amakani amabili, so kwenzekeni ngalamakani amanye la bese niwaphuzila empty.
Le amakana angifuni ukugama, angiyazi indaba yayo ngoba njengoba sasiphuza ngithi utshwala babekwe efridge, so babileke blande efridge, so mase kwenzeke lento angazi the rest amakani ayako because bese ngingekho mina besambisa usenze isibhedlela, so angazi kwasala kwenzakalani.
About the issue of the cans, really I don't want to lie about it as to what had happened about the cans, because as we were drinking this alcohol, some of it was kept inside the fridge. So as to what happened with the cans after consuming them, after we have went to the hospital, I cannot tell, because we took Senzo to the hospital.
No, we're referring to the time when you were drinking, where the cans left, for instance, to pile up, to lie there, or what was the position?
Sikhuluma ngesikhathi niphuza ngisho nijabulisa ukuthi lamakani beniwabeka lapho nje ukuthi amana ahlale lapho noma bokwenzakani ngawo.
Angisakhumbuli ukuthi awubani obewaxoxa ukuba angisakhumbuli kahle.
I don't remember who was collecting them water. Don't remember.
And Sli, I understand that a certain investigator's name also kept coming up today. If you could just give us more details about that.
So it's pertaining to a Colonel Joyce Buthelezi, who is one of the investigators of docket 375. That's the second docket pertaining to the death of Senator Meyiwa. We know that that docket says that those who were in the house have a case to answer to. It says that someone in the house shot and killed Senator Meyiwa. So what we are seeing in terms of the re-examination was the state then trying to get questions in around this narrative. Masikane says that Buthelezi is pushing. He says that in fact she's peddling lies. She has an agenda with this second docket, and all of it is just a complete lie at this stage. And he, of course, then went on to basically say that she and other police officers had allegedly tortured some of those who were in the house, like Mtokozi Sitwala. But from what we understand from some of the objections raised from the defense, because much of what was said by Madlala, they say, is hearsay evidence, the state has agreed that the evidence around Colonel Buthelezi will be expunged from the record. Let's just take a listen.
Shuthi yena kahle kahle uButhelezi obefuna ukuthi sivume into engasiyo or sisho into engasiyo.
Okay.
Objection, my lord.
Yeah.
This narrative question that has been introduced by the state, it's vague, my lord. Firstly, the state said he wants clarity on the statement of Mr. Mlungisi Edward Hlope. And the defense for accused number 124 objected to say this witness was not present and therefore he cannot be in a position to know the conditions and the circumstances under which this statement was made. Now the state is coming with a narrative issue which is so vague and embarrassing. What should be narrated by this witness with reference to Colonel Buthelezi? Because she has never done anything regarding this statement. This statement, the person who has to be questioned is the author of this statement and the person who commissioned this statement only if this witness has got anything to know about those two people.
It was quite heated there, Slee, even though it was a short court appearance. But I've got my last question to you is just twofold. You know, in terms of the fact that Tumelo Madlala has wrapped up his testimony, it means that on Monday we have a new state witness coming onto the stand. I wonder if you know who that is. But also I understand that Tumelo Madlala was crying today as he left court.
Yes, as soon as court adjourned, in fact, Madlala started weeping uncontrollably. He was being comforted by somebody who seems to be either a family member or a close relative or a girlfriend perhaps. But he was really just, he was brought down to tears. You can imagine he began his testimony in September, so he spent a couple of weeks under oath now. I think we all know just how difficult it is to be in the witness box, to face those tough questions, to try and recollect something that happened 8 years ago. And of course we know that Senzo Meyiwa was Madlala's best friend. They grew up together. They are from the same township in KwaZulu-Natal. So I don't think any of us can understand really the kind of emotional toll this has taken on him. But what happens next, of course, we are expecting a new witness on Monday. Do I know who it is? Maybe. But, you know, at this point, we can't tell our viewers who is coming up next, but there's a strong possibility that it is somebody else who was in the house, or perhaps a neighbor who was there and witnessed what may have transpired following that fateful shooting. And one of the questions that was posed to Madlala in re-examination was around the fact that he seems to be so positive in the identity of the second intruder. However, back 8 years ago when the incident was still very much fresh in his mind, he could not tell investigators the description of the second intruder, but rather the first intruder. And the judge really also asking a clarity question around the fact that how come it is that he could describe or conduct a doc identification of Bongani Ndanzi, accused number 2, but not really being able to describe or give a description to investigators 8 years ago on the second intruder, but had actually given a description of the first intruder. Let's just take a listen to that.
This incident happened. You say that you saw 2 intruders. Then you made a statement before there was any court appearance, before anybody, I suppose, got arrested. The question is, at the time when you made the statement, before anybody was arrested, did you give a description? You will correct me if that's not your question.
Yes, it is.
Did you give a description of any suspect? And specifically, did you give a description of accused number 2 before anybody was arrested.
Uzwile umbuzo Nkosi yami.
Yebo.
Kuthi ke kuthatha istatement ngaphambi kokuba umuntu angaboshwa ke kule statement lezo kukhona uyanikeza khona description yomunye umuntu ngaphambi ukuthi kuboshwe umuntu.
Yes, ilo wayenza ama-threat efaka isiqoko. Wayigqoka ijacket ongathi caramel.
Yes, the one with dreads and the one who was wearing this hat and also wearing this caramel jacket.